what is your epic dream?
What are the stories since 1865, right? What do we do right after slavery? What do we do in those years? What do we do in the 1900s? Because it's a part of history we skip over. We talk about the racism, we talk about what was done to our ancestors, but we don't often talk about what they did themselves. And our ancestors always had some type of agency that they practiced. So that's my dream to find their stories, to put documents together, to find newspaper articles, and know as much of the story as possible. We're always told, "Oh, it's no information. You're not going to find anything." But everybody I've ever looked for, we've always found far more than they expected to find, right? And even if we talk about slavery, slavery was a business, and businesses keep records. So it's a lot of information out there, and I just want Black people to possess the information that belongs to them and their family.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of King Crush Thursday, the series where we highlight and uplift Black men, because frankly, not too many people are doing it. My name is Val Gay, and I am super excited about this brother today. Let's see, he's a poet. He actually is a founder of a really cool open mic poetry open mic that ran for several years. He also is an author of poetry books and a recording artist, and he's a genealogist. His name is Mr. Christopher K.P. Brown, also known as Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how you doing, Val?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome. I'm glad that you are here. Thank you so much for being here. Your presence here brings us another wedge in the door of the very myopic window, if you will. I use the door, I use the window opening towards Black men or of Black men and about Black men. We see very narrow stereotypes, if you will, of Black men in the media. And we know that Black men are as myriad as the number of Black men walking the planet. And yet what we get to see in the media is usually 1 to 4 different types of stereotypes that are not necessarily incorrect, but they are most certainly incomplete. And so I'm so glad that you're here to complete and help us complete the narrative and round out the narrative a little bit more, because ultimately my goal is for a young king who may or may not have positive Black male role models to come to this repository, see the same 6 questions answered by amazing and successful Black men, and find guidance there. And then for the rest of us, we're neither male or even Black, for us to be able to come to this repository, also see questions answered, same 6 questions answered, and hopefully our minds can be expanded. And so I'm so glad that you're here, and we're going to get started with the first question, which is, what does manhood mean to you?
Uh, that's something I think that's a question I'm always working to figure out. But right now, I would say stability, being a source of stability and reassurance. In my household, I try to be if things are all over the place, try to be the center point that we can always come back to this point. Try to be. I tell my fiance that I want to be those I forget, it's a game. It's the those poles, they have the balls on them. The ball swings on the rope. I forget what that's called, but I tell her I want to be the pole. I want to be the pole. I want to be the stability, and everything else can go on around that. So that's sort of like how I view manhood, being a point of stability and sort of the center.
It's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Thank you. I don't know what it's called, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
I don't know the name, but that's awesome. Excellent. Thank you. So, Chris, who and or what is important to you?
So my family is important to me. My mother, my brother, my sister-in-law, my niece, my nephews, my fiance. her niece, her nephew, her family, and then my friends as well, and general black people and poets as well.
Awesome. Got it. Excellent. Thank you. So, Chris, how do you want us to see you?
Really, as a person who moves with integrity and honesty above everything else, those are really the things that are the most important to me. I want to, wake up every day, look at myself in the mirror, and and be happy with that, live in peace. I don't want to ever, you know how some people like they're on their deathbed and they want to confess things, right? I want to be a person who doesn't really have anything to confess at that point. I want to get that out early. I don't, um, going into my personal story a little bit, just we're talking about manhood. So I was somebody who didn't have a father growing up. And my father was in my hometown. He actually worked in the same office as my mother for, 16 years, really the entire time I was growing up. And so I was his public secret. So I'm really big on when we talk about integrity and honesty, like that's why I don't really like to keep secrets. You never know what harm that's causing actually. And 9 times out of 10, it's not as deep as you think it is to just tell the truth. So really to be a person that moves with honesty and integrity. And if you hear me say something over there, that's the same thing I said over here, right? So that's my thing.
I get that. I get that a lot. Thank you. So, Chris, thank you so much for that. So, what is your epic dream?
So my growing up, growing up, my epic dream was really to do poetry, and not just to really perform. I just wanted to be, the word I always used was legend. That was the word I used as a teenager. I wanted to be a legend in the poetry world. And so I don't use legend as much today, but the same sort of thing applies as far as I want to be remembered. I want to do work that was important enough to be remembered after I'm gone. So that's my biggest dream, and I personally feel like I have accomplished that. It's interesting in poetry because it's such a niche thing, and sometimes it can be underground. But within this community, I know I've played a pivotal role in Philadelphia and in the region as well, and I've had a chance to reach back and kind of communicate and help mentor poets back home, at different times in my career as well. So that was always the dream. I think the new dream is around the genealogy work and doing family tree research. Really, just probably for the rest of my life, getting black people their information, right? So I've never said this in a recording. I never said this publicly, but and I won't mention any companies, but companies that store census records and marriage certificates and birth certificates, and you have to pay to, look at those records. I think we should have own those records. Every family should own those records. So black families who don't know their great grandparents and great 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 grandparents, we should all be able to trace back to 1870 on some line. If we, not to get too deep, but if you go into like the time of enslavement, we all had 32 ancestors who were alive when slavery ended, right? If you start looking at for most of us, it's our great great grandparents, some of it's great 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 grandparents. But if you count them, right, if you say parents is two, grandparents four, great grandparents eight, right, you keep multiplying, you keep going back, we had about 32, right? So we should be able to trace back some of those people at least, maybe not all of them, but we should be able to trace back. So one of my main goal for the rest of my life is really to help us trace back and find as much information as possible. And not necessarily to trace back to Africa, right? We can do the DNA test and it can tell us a region, right? And it may tell us a group of people. And I'm for that. And I think that's great. I think that's somebody else's work. I think my particular work is what are the stories of us in this country, right? What are the stories since 1865, right? What did we do right after slavery? What did we do in those years? What did we do in the 1900s? Because it's a part of history we skip over. We talk about the racism, we talk about what was done to our ancestors, but we don't often talk about what they did themselves. And our ancestors always had some type of agency that they practiced. So that's my dream to find their stories, to put documents together, to find newspaper articles, and know as much of the story as possible. You know, we're always told, oh, it's no information. You're not going to find anything. But everybody I've ever looked for, we've always found far more than they expected to find, right? And even if we talk about slavery, slavery was a business, and businesses keep records. So it's a lot of information out there, and I just want Black people to possess the information that belongs to them and their family.
Mm. That's amazing. That's amazing. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, question five, Chris, is a question that you've actually been answering all along. But I'm going to ask, and when you've been answering it all along implicitly, I'm going to ask you explicitly, Mr. Christopher K.P. Brown, who are you?
I would say at the root of all of those things, I'm the son of Althedia, Althedia J. Payne, who I'm the son of. That's my mother. I'm the son of someone. I'm a person who's watched his mother struggle with Alzheimer's, really all of my adult life, and since I was 14 years old. I'll be 41 next month. So for the last 26, 27 years. And at the heart of my story, there's that. I was at a poetry workshop one time, uh, facilitated by Yolanda Wisher, a poet laureate in Philadelphia. Um, and the prompt was, what was your 9/11, right? What was your personal 9/11, right? And it was my mother, having Alzheimer's. I watched it in the house, just me and her, for some years before she was diagnosed. But when we talk about the poetry and the genealogy work, it stems back to my mother being sick. I started writing when I was 14, and in hindsight, that's when my mother started showing signs of Alzheimer's, right? When I was 14. I think those two things are connected. I think I was close to my mother, so there was an outlet through poetry, even when I couldn't communicate directly with her, right? As that faded over the years, and the love. I had a friend before my friend Justin passed some years ago, but before he passed, one of the last conversations he had with me, he told me, he's like, I think you put into poetry the love that you would have liked to give to your mother. And I agree with and I never thought about that, but when he said it, I agree because it's in the I have a poem about it, and when I was reading him the poem, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then you think about the genealogy work. By the time I'm 19, my father passed away. I met him once at that point. I met him when I was 16 years old. Talked to him for 30 minutes. He had diabetes. He ends up passing away when I'm 19. I'm a sophomore in college, and my mother been diagnosed with Alzheimer's by then. So I really didn't have either parent to really go to and ask questions, and that's how I got into genealogy work. I was a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, and I had questions, and I didn't realize how much information was already in the family. My aunt and my grandmother actually had quite a bit of information, but I found a lot more based off the little what they did know. But my mother being sick and losing my father at 19 starts me down this path of genealogy because I realized I had so many questions and I didn't have a parent to ask those questions to. And so that started in 2005 and 2023. I set it up as an LLC, as an official company before they were ancestors. The name of the company is Before They Were Ancestors. And that all goes back. That all stems back to my mom. So at the root of everything that's there. Right.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's really beautiful. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you. Wow. So here we are, already at question six. And is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't, or you wanted me to ask you that I didn't? In other words, what did I miss?
Yeah, so the question would be, how has manhood, your view of manhood changed in your lifetime? So, um, so manhood and like masculinity, I think with the queer community having more rights in America, I think it also expands what it means to be a man as well. So I think we get to be, even like straight men, I think we get to be more expressive, kind of express emotions more. And it's not like, oh, just, I'm not, it's okay to cry, but I'm not just talking about it's okay to cry. I'm saying it's okay. Like, hey, I felt this way about this thing, right? Any, like, um, things that may have been seen as like too sensitive, but like just, and to me, that's just proper communication, right? If I communicate about my feelings and what's going on with me and like, oh, like, yeah, I've been going to work every day, but I'm really not feeling it right now. I'm not looking for a new job. I just want to express that I'm not feeling my job right now. That's just where I'm at. I don't need a solution. It's just like, just know I don't feel like going to work right now. I know I'm going to come out of it, those things. Or it might be like, hey, you've been spending a lot of time with your homegirls. Like, can we go out? Like, whatever. To like, openly with my family, I try to tell them, like, I'm always willing to talk about my mother and her Alzheimer's, whatever feelings that makes me feel. Like, I'm completely open to it. And so I really think manhood has expanded. I think it was, I think it's limiting. I'll say that. And that's what I would want any like younger black male to know. I think manhood and masculinity are limiting because there are going to be things, there are going to be characteristics that you possess that are outside of manhood and masculinity, but they don't mean that you're queer. They don't mean that you're gay, and it could be, right? It could be that you're queer. And that's perfectly fine. And that still means you can possess all these qualities of manhood and masculinity as well. Me as a straight man, I just feel like I have more room to be my complete self. In my relationships with my friends at work, all of that, I just feel like there's an expansion and it's not as limiting as it used to be. It used to be like you had to be, you got to watch football and be macho, and that's the only way to be a man, right? And so I just think it's expanding.
I hear that. I hear that. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for your thoughtful answers and, just a thoughtful way that you've been able to find your life's work through processing your own experiences and pain and turning it into something that is beneficial for others. I really appreciate your story. I'm excited for you. It's you mentioned your fiance and being able to start that next part of your life, and so congratulations on that. And I honor you, my king. I pray that your epic dream absolutely does come true sooner rather than later. And I'm just so grateful that you were here today. Thank you so much.
I should share something. Thank you. I should thank you for having me on the series, number one, having me be a part of the series. I should say that my fiance and I met at the art sanctuary in 2018 when I was working there and she was serving as a volunteer, Nicole Keys. Yeah, and we've been together. That's where we met, and we've been together since then.
Wait, you're the Chris Brown?
Yes.
Yes. That's so ridiculous.
I told the assistant who emailed me. I didn't know if she passed it along or not. But yes, that was like yeah, that was 2018 for a short, we were both there for a short period of time. And yeah,
Oh my gosh. First of all, I'm so sorry that my failing eyesight did not put together that you were that Chris Brown, to the Chris Brown that I knew from all those years ago. And oh, this makes me so happy. Congratulations.
yeah.
That's so awesome.
Mm.
Yay.
When your assistant emailed me, I was like, I know who Val Gay is. I used to work for her.
So
So I
good.
know exactly
You
who that
didn't even say anything. I'm like, hi, do you go by Christopher or Chris? You're like, Chris. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my God.
I should
That
have.
just proves that I need some glasses. And there's something that I think apparently also I need some 3D action, right? So like I'm one of those people literally apparently I used to think Superman was corny, but apparently you can put on a pair of glasses and I think Clark Kent is,
Switches
Superman.
things up. But
Yeah.
then we've also lived through a pandemic. So stuff that happened before the pandemic is like all a blur.
Yes. But that's so amazing. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, you just made my day. I'm so happy. So happy to hear this. Awesome. Thank you. Stay right there because I want to thank the audience for joining us today. I really hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And if there is a positive and successful Black man in your life who may or may not have worked for me, apparently in the past, who you want to hear from in this forum, please click the link below in my bio, fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We really are expanding the opportunities to hear from brothers like Chris and so many others because we all have a story and our stories can absolutely impact other stories and influence and inspire us. I often say that success does not equal what someone does for a living. As long as it's legal and it's not hurting anyone, I really don't care what they do for a living because I'm really after the content of someone's character. That what is the impact that they are having on the people around them, starting with their nuclear family and spreading out to the community writ large. Those brothers we want to be a part of this repository and are in our community already. We just want to highlight them. So please, next week, stay tuned for yet another amazing king. And please remember to spread love and have a great day. Thank you so much. And Chris, thank you so much. And congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.